And what they did, I just thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever heard. It's like you could make small batch spirits, which sounded absolutely incredible. You can do it in your house. The guy, Ian at Heart at Sacred, was making gin at his house. And I was like, wow, how incredible. And he had a commercially viable product that he was selling in some of the best bars and hotels in the world. He was exporting, he was in Fortnum and Masons. And I was like, oh my God, I had a dream of making my own product. I thought, this is it. This is what I would love to spend the next 5, 10, 20 years doing. And that's literally what I did. I love researching. So I didn't have a big budget. Effectively, I had some inheritance, which I ring fenced. I had £50,000 to set up my business. It was very clear that £50,000 doesn't set you up a quick service Thai restaurant chain in London. But it could, if I played my cards right and was quite frugal with how I set up this distillery, I could bring a brand to market to make gin. And that's pretty much what I spent.
So how did you spend the 50k? Because a lot of people want to set up. There's a gazillion different paths here, right? But like you can either go and set up your own factory, distillery, which is one path, or you can kind of just use a third party. But people who may want to be setting it up may think they need a gazillion K. How did you spend the 50k?
Yeah, that's a good question. So my motivation for setting up the gin. So I love the idea of creating something unique. Was obsessed with I don't know how much everyone knows about gin, but as long as you add juniper, you can add anything you want to make your own complete unique recipe.
Why juniper? What is
that? Juniper is it's this technically a pine cone, but it is the flavor of gin. It's piney, it's resinous, it's really oily, it's got that fantastic scent on, both on the nose and on the palate, and it's bitter, and it blends beautifully well with tonic, as we know. But as long as you've got that ingredient, you can add absolutely anything you want in to make your own recipe. So that's what appealed to me about it. And so I set out on the journey to make the gin, and so I basically didn't have the budget for a consultant, so that would probably be the first thing you do. You get a consultant to learn how to make it. But equally, I didn't go down the third-party route to contract it out. What appealed to me to make gin was to actually dive into the product, to make it myself. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to make this flavor myself. I wanted to make it unique. I wanted to get that perfect balance between those juniper notes, the florals, the spice, the earthiness, the herbaceousness, and create my own unique recipe that I would feel very proud to sell. It wasn't, I didn't really know much about marketing or brand as such back then. Maybe I was a little bit naive. I don't know if that worked in my, as a strength or as a weakness. But for me, I dove into the product and the process itself. So I knew I wanted to make this gin. I knew I wanted to make it myself. So I needed to learn how to do it. And so I was always going to do from start to finish production and bottling myself. There wasn't really any other way that I knew, or I didn't even, I didn't explore for someone else to make it, because that wasn't what got me excited. I wasn't a professional marketer. I couldn't tell you, I didn't know the best practice of making or launching a brand. That wasn't my expertise, but I knew I had the passion to make something which I hoped could be a little bit better. I wasn't shooting for the moon, but if I gave it the right care and attention to detail that lots of these real ale brewers and cider makers have done, provincially or regionally in Cornwall and in Devon and Somerset in the West Country. If I could do the same with gin, make it taste better than the household name or in the green bottle that everyone else has, I might be onto something, and I could convert people maybe one at a time that they should, give my gin a try, and hopefully convert them for a bit of an upsell. So that was very much my premise at the beginning.
Yeah, so just going back to the 50k, how did
it break down?
Yeah.
So I found, so I left London and moved back to the West Country, and the idea for me was to live by the sea, and I think on paper it was to go surfing in the morning and make a few bottles of gin in the afternoon. But the fantastic things about living in Cornwall is we've got Falmouth University. So first off, that was one of the best graphic design and art degree universities in the country. So it's a hotbed of creative agencies. So I found some guys who were similar age to me, about 25, 24, 25 when I was starting up. And they were happy to do my whole branding, website design, bottle packaging, the whole works, like 100-gram package for a few grand.
Is that still the branding today?
We have refreshed our branding since. The agency is still going, and they're going from strength to strength from Kingdom and Sparrow. And it was very much, for them, probably building out their portfolio a bit. For me, getting something which was an extraordinarily fantastic value. The amount of hours and time and effort they put into this. I was getting way more bang for my buck. So I had this awesome creative agency, really enthusiastic guys, and basically they did that marketing front, including website for that. So super cheap. My still, so I've been eyeing up, which is the copper pot still that you used to make the gin. I've been eyeing up the one that Sipsmith had used, but it was close to 100 grand. That was twice what I had. So I had to be more creative, and I found these beautiful hand-beaten copper pot stills from Portugal. They were a couple grand. So here we are, a few grand for my branding, a few grand for my still, maybe some auxiliary equipment. I needed a 200-pound bottle filler and filter. I needed some tanks, another £1,000. But ultimately on equipment, less than, I'm sure, equipment and branding probably less than 10 grand. Then I just get it. The rest really goes into stock. So, you've got to buy your first pallets of bottles, first labels, juniper, alcohol, and then the rest is working capital.
Espressos is sponsored by supply chain software gurus Unleashed. It talks to your eComm and accounting software. It's helped islands cut admin time in half, get granular clarity on your margins, know where your stock is, don't miss availability. Brands like Candy Kittens, Tiny Rebel and Trip all use Unleashed, and so should you.